So the great thing about this section is it's just an extension of the section before. Now, some people go, well, then that's great. I totally get the last section. We'll be good to go. The problem is organization. The problem is that now there's twice as much on the page, so you really have to make sure you keep track of things, okay? So I wrote down here, you factor everything. So before, we were factoring the top, factoring the bottom, then crossing things off. Now I'm saying factor, 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 then cross things off. The only caveat is that when it's division, you have to flip the second fraction, okay? Only when it's division, and it always has to be the second fraction, okay? So remember, when we factor, it's only things that are being added or subtracted. So let me zoom in. We'll start with number 1. Now, when you look here, let me make it a little bigger. I know I didn't leave you much space. So when it comes to your homework, if you need more space, feel free to use separate paper and upload that, okay? So I look here, there's nothing being added or subtracted, no factor, no factor, no factor, no factor. Now there's different ways to approach this. One way is simplify this fraction, then simplify this fraction, then put it all together. Another way is start doing some cross-canceling and go from there. But honestly, what works best for me is this. Because I feel like, for me in terms of organization, I get confused when I start crossing off and writing what's left. So I work all the way across. So here's what I am going to do. When it comes to the numbers, I will cross-cancel numbers. So 5 goes into 10 2 times. There isn't one way to do this, but you need to make sure you show work. 6 goes into 12 2 times. And 2 over 2 is 1. So all the numbers are gone. Then what I like to do is work across. I have 1x and 5 x's. That makes 6 x's. And I have 3 y's. This way I'm not doing diagonal across. I have 3 x's and 9 y's. That makes 12 x's. And I have 2 y's and 4 y's. That makes 6 y's. Now what I do is I work vertically. More x's on top or bottom, bottom by 6. More y's on top or bottom, bottom by 3. Now some of you go, well, I'd rather subtract. Fine. 6 minus 12 is negative 6. And you can't have a negative exponent, so you move it to the bottom. I don't care how you get there. There's nothing left on top, so you got to put a 1. It's almost good to go, but now you have to say what makes it undefined. X cannot equal 0, and y cannot equal 0. Okay. All right, that's number 1. I'm going to pause real quick. I think I need my glasses. 1 second. So let's look at number 3. No adding and subtracting, no adding and subtracting. However, this is division, the last one. So I flip the one after the division. So that means now this is really 6b on top, and this is really 5a squared on the bottom. I need to cross it off enough so I don't get confused. Now remember what I like to do. I like to focus on the numbers first. Okay, so 6 on top doesn't cut it. 5 on bottom doesn't cut it. But I do see that 6 and 8 are even, so they divide by 2, so that'd be 3 and 4. I also see that 4 goes into 12 3 times. And I think that's all I can do. And what I'm going to do, because I know myself, is I'm going to highlight. Let's make sure there's no other numbers. There's this number, this number, this number, this number, and this number. If I don't highlight that, I'm going to lose track. So 3 times 3 is 6 times 6 is 36. And then 5 times 5 is 25. Okay, took care of the numbers. Now I'm going to do the letters. I have 1A, 2 A's on top, 3, 5, 6 B's on top. I have 1A, 3 A's on bottom, and I have 2 B's on the bottom. Okay, so let's make sure. And to me, this is one of those, it's not that it's very difficult, but it's easy to make mistakes. So 1A, 2 A's, good. 3B, 4B, 6B, good. And I crossed it off, notice when I'm done using it. 1A, 3 A's, and then 2 B's. I got nothing left. Okay, now I got to decide, do I have more on top or bottom? So I have 1 more A on the bottom, and I'm out of space, so I am going to, I'll just do it right here. So it's going to be 36 over 25. 1 more A on the bottom, 4 more on top. The only thing I have a problem with is the A that's on the bottom, so A cannot equal 0. Okay, I'm actually going to jump over to this problem right here. So we got a lot of addition, we got a lot of, well actually we don't have any subtraction. So they're saying factor, factor, factor. So I come over here. While 2 goes into 8 and 12, I have to find the biggest number, and that's 4, GCF. Okay. Now I'm going to cross that off so I don't look at it anymore. I look down here, I can GCF because they both have an x. If you need to do your box, do your box. Cross it off when you're done. Now, I don't know about you, but when I see these problems, my goal is to make it as easy for me as possible so that I can get the right answer and be efficient with time. Now, some of you would magic exit and do this, but I'm going to show you guess and check now. All right. So since I see 2x squared, my only option is 2x and x. Now, based on the fact that there is an x plus 7 on the bottom, and 7 is here, I'm guessing the 7's going to be there. 7 times what gives me 7, and that would be 1. Now, how do you know you're right? 1 times x is 1x, and 14x does make 15x. This is guess and check. If you don't understand what I'm saying, you're going to do your cute little magic x over here, do 14, 15, ... go from there. But at this point, a lot of you already know that. Now guess and check is the way I would go. Okay? Now, I see 36, 42, and 12. All of those are divisible by 6. Wait, just kidding. 6x squared plus 7x plus 2. And now I go, well, since that's x squared, I probably can keep going. So I'm going to go like this and bring down the 6. Now, the truth is 6x squared could be 6x and x, or it could be 2x and 3x. Which one do you think I'm going to guess? 3x, because see how that says 3x plus 2? Now, it doesn't mean I'm right, but it means I'm taking a guess. So that means if that's 3x, this would have to be 2x. And then I go, okay, 2 times what gives you 2? 2 times 1. So let's see. 2 times 2 is 4. 3 times 1 is 3. 4 plus 3 is 7. Ah, it works. So then we're good to go. So I factored. Now I'm going to cross things off. So x plus 7, gone. 3x plus 2, 3x plus 2, gone. 2x plus 1, 2x plus 1, gone. 4 and 6, I can divide by 2. This is when people make the biggest mistakes. And now I'm going to go through and highlight what's left. So I have the 2 left. I think we're good. I have the 3x and the 3 left. I don't think there's anything else that's left. So then my answer is 2 on top, 9x on the bottom, where x cannot equal 0. Okay? All right. Let's jump down to number 11. I don't think the number 11. Oh, actually, I want to do number 9. Okay, we're going to do number 9. Now let's do number 7. Okay, so this isn't a fraction, but this is. What does that mean? I put it over 1. Now I factor it. Can't factor the 1. Can't factor that because it's not being added. Now I factored. I'm going to cross that off so I don't get distracted. Now I cross things off. X plus 2, x plus 2. This is being multiplied and this is being multiplied, so they're doing the same thing. Now I'm going to go through to x, which is 2x. There's nothing in the denominator. It is not a rational expression. It is a linear expression, okay? And there are no restrictions. There's no restrictions when it's a line. There's only restrictions when it's rational, okay? All right, number 9, GCF. GCF. So that one doesn't look that difficult, but what makes it more difficult is that you have to know that these look very similar, but they're different. This x is positive, this x is negative. This x is negative, this x is positive. So they're the exact same thing, but opposite. So I cross them off and take out a negative 1. And now I'm left with a negative 1, a 2, and a 3. Negative 1 times 2 is negative 2/3. It's okay to have a fraction as an answer as long as there isn't a letter in the denominator. That's a constant. That means if I graphed this, actually it would be down here, y equals negative 2/3. Know these types of things for maybe your quiz. Okay. Let's jump down to 11. I guess it's not that far. So what do I do when it's division? You got to flip the second fraction. That's the biggest mistake people make. So I'm going to flip it. It's annoying to rewrite it, but it's also annoying to be wrong. So I would rather just I would just rather flip it. So let's see, factor, take out a 2. I know I don't have very much space, I'm sorry. And left with x plus 1. I said anytime you add or subtract, you can factor, but technically there's nothing that works here, there's nothing that works here, and there's nothing that works here. I can't cross that off because this got turned to multiply. They're both in the bottom, and these are both in the top. So I'm going to rewrite this answer as 2, there's 2x plus 1s, over 3x minus 5 squared. Now I have to state the restriction. X cannot equal 5/3. Okay. So your job is to, let me just make sure I'm right on that. Yep. Oh, no, never mind. That wasn't your job. I guess, oh, yes, it is. Let's see. All right. So let me make sure. Let me see something really quick. Sorry. All right. Here's what we're going to do. Your homework is to do this second column, and you can either do it on this paper or separate paper. Okay. Your homework is also to do these problems, and a lot of them are multiple choice, so let's make sure we're good to go. So this one you can't really show work. This one, if you're not sure, I would graph it. Make sure you're showing work on this one. 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 And this one is just an answer down here. And this one, you're going to have to show work on that. Okay? But before I go over it, let's see if I have more time here. I do. I want to do a couple more of these problems. Okay. So here's what I want you guys to do is I want you to try this problem here. Okay? So when you factor this, what do you get? Now cross it off. Can you factor this one? No. Factor this one. Can you factor this one? No. Now we're going to start crossing things off. X minus 3, x minus 3, x plus 1, x plus 1. Now I go through. I like to highlight. I'm left with x minus 1, x plus 3. Now some of you go, well, should I box it out now? No, I don't really care. Okay? And there's no denominator, so there's no restriction, and that's good to go. Okay? All right. So for number 17, I want you to completely do this problem all by yourself, and then you're going to put the answer on the Edpuzzle. Okay. Now I'm going to do the problem. 3 goes into 21, 7. 7 goes into 56, 8 times. 8 and 14 divide by 2. Now I'm left with this. Now remember what I like to do. I like to work my way across. You can go vertically, you can go diagonally, whatever you want. But in terms of organization for me, it does not work organization-wise for me to do it that way. I would rather just multiply across and make sure I'm good to go. There is 1 more A on the bottom, 4 more B's on the bottom. I'm left with a 7. And then I'm left with a 4. There are restrictions where A cannot equal 0 and B cannot equal 0. Okay? I think you guys get the game.